Good morning. Myself Miss VIDHYABHAVAN from Srimati LPSAVANI VIDHYABHAVAN, Adachan. This video is made for grade 8 students for subject English. Hey students, hope you are doing well. Today we will learn about a new story, How the Camel Got Its Hump by Rudyard Kipling. Let's start with the new story How the Camel Got Its Hump by Rudyard Kipling, and let's know about the author. Rudyard Kipling was an English author who wrote some of the most famous stories, novels and poems ever written in the English language. He remains the youngest recipient of the Nobel Prize in Literature. Now the characters in this story are gin, camel, dog, ox, horse and man. Before textual passage, I will give you a brief introduction about this story. The story How the Camel Got Its Hump is a story from Rudyard Kipling collection called Just So Stories. The story is set in Arabia when the world was new and camel did not have hump. The author tells us about the time when man was just beginning to learn the art of domesticating animals. There was a camel that lived in the middle of the desert. He only ate sticks, thorns and prickles, for they are the only things available in desert. The camel was so lazy that whenever anybody spoke to him, all that he would say was hump. The horse, the dog and the ox visited Panchayat on the edge of the desert and complained to the jinn. The jinn promised to look into the matter and teach the camel a lesson. The jinn went in search of the camel and found him looking at his own reflection in a pool of water. The jinn told him that his laziness has led to the other animals working overtime, which was not fair. Yet again the camel said hump with all indifference. Finally, when camel saw it back, it had puffed up into a great big hump. The jinn told him that the hump was a result of spending 3 days without doing any work. With the hump on his back, the camel could not work for days without eating, and that's how the camel got its hump. In the story, Rudyard Kipling brings out the theme of laziness effectively. The main idea here is to make the reader understand the importance of hard work. Laziness will not lead us to success. In fact, by avoiding work, we will end up piling lot more than we can do. This story is divided into 2 parts. This is a textual passage of part 1. There are few pictures added in the textual passage for your better understanding. Let's begin with the reading of part 1 of the textual passage, which will be followed by the explanation of the same. In the beginning, when the world was new and the animals were just beginning to work for man, there was a camel and he lived in the middle of a howling desert. Because he did not want to work, he ate sticks and thorns and prickles, and when anybody spoke to him, he said hump. Just hump and no more. Presently the horse came to him on Monday morning with a paddle on his back and said, Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us. Hump, said the camel, and the horse went away and told the man. Presently the dog came to him with a stick in his mouth and said, Camel, oh camel, come and fetch and carry like the rest of us. Hump, said the camel, and the dog went away and told the man. Presently the ox came to him with a yoke on his neck and said, Camel, oh camel, come and plow like the rest of us. Hump, said the camel, and the ox went away and told the man. At the end end of the day, the man called the horse and the dog and the ox together and said, 303, I am very sorry for you, but that Hump thing in the desert can't work, or he would have been here by now. So I am going to leave him alone, and you must work double time to make up for it. That made the three very angry, and they held a panchayat on the edge of the desert, and the camel came chewing curd and laughed at them. Then he said, Hump, and went away again. Presently there came along the jinn who was in charge of all desert, rolling in a cloud of dust. Jinn of all desert, said the horse, is it right for anyone to be idle? Certainly not, said the jinn. Well, said the horse, there's a thing in the middle of your desert with a long neck and long legs, and he hasn't done a stroke of work since Monday morning. He won't trot. Wave, said the jinn, whistling. That's my camel. What does he say about it? He says Hump, and he won't plow, said the ox. Very good, said the jinn. I will hump him if you will kindly wait a minute. Now, explanation of the part 1. The world has just begun. The animal had started working for humans. The horse, the dog, and the ox pulled load and served men. But there was only one animal, camel, that refused to work. The camel is very lazy and he sits in the middle of the great extreme desert eating thorns and milkweeds. When anyone speaks to the camel, he responds with Hump. On Monday, the horse comes and asks the camel to help trot. The camel replies Hump. The horse goes away and tells the man. On Tuesday, the dog comes and asks the camel to help to fetch and carry. The camel responds Hump. The dog goes away and tells the man. On Wednesday, the ox comes and asks the camel to help to plow. The camel states Hump. The ox goes away and tells the man. At the end of the day, the man calls the three animals together. The man says that since the camel will not work, they will have to do extra work to make up for him. This makes the three very angry, and they talk and complain about the camel. Enroll Jinn, the man in charge of all desert, and he conferred with the three. They ask if it is all right for someone to be so lazy and not work. The jinn, of course, says it is not. This was the end of part 1. Now let's begin with the reading of part 2. The jinn rolled himself up in his dust cloak and took a walk across the desert and found the camel looking at his own reflection in a pool of water. My friend, said the jinn, what's this I hear of you doing no work? The jinn sat down with his chin in his hand while the camel looked at his own reflection in the pool of water. You have given the three extra work ever since Monday morning, all on account of your idleness, said the jinn, and he went on thinking with his chin in his hand. Hump, said the camel. I shouldn't say that again if I were you, said the jinn. You might say it once too often. I want you to work. And the camel said, Hump, again. But no sooner had he said it than he saw his back that he was so proud of, puffing up into a great big hump. Do you see that? Said the jinn. That's your very own hump that you have brought upon your very own self by not working. Today is Thursday, and you have done no work since Monday, when the work began, Now you are going to work. How can I? Said the camel. With this hump on my back? That has a purpose, said the jinn. All because you missed those 3 days. You will be able to work now for 3 days without eating, because you can live on your hump. And don't you ever say I never did anything for you. Come out of the desert and go to the tree and behave. And the camel went away to join the tree. And from that day to this, the camel always wears a hump. We call it hump now, not to hurt his feelings, but he has never yet caught up with the 3 days that he missed at the beginning of the world, and he has never yet learned how to behave. Now we'll start with the explanation of part 2. Jinn decided to punish such an idle animal. He found the camel looking at his own reflection in the pool of water. He had made the 3 other animals do extra work since Monday morning. When the jinn asked him to clarify, the camel only said hump. He showed no willingness to work. The jinn warned the camel that if he says hump again, something bad may happen. As soon as the camel responded with hump again, and a huge hump grows on the back of the camel. It was thirsty. The jinn tells the camel that is his own hump, brought by his selfishness and lack of activity. The jinn says the camel has to work, and the camel asks how can he work with a giant hump on his back. The camel was told to work for 3 days without eating anything, because his food was stored in his hump, but the hump on his back made it difficult for him to carry the load. Jinn explained that the hump was hold enough fuel for him to be able to work for 3 days without eating. The camel goes to join the 3 animals who had come to call for work, but he responded hump, and from that day always has a hump. The camel has yet to catch up with the work he missed in the beginning of the time, and he has not yet learned how to behave. Given are the difficult words and phrases from the story. Go through it to improve your vocabulary. Here we come to a part 2. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.